Tonight, I'm going to try not to get quite so excited as I've been becoming about this thing that's afflicting our nation, that probably took this woman we love and this great performer, this mother, this wife. I mean, we got to get an understanding around this, and I'm hoping to bring us closer to that tonight. We're also speaking to some of the singer's closest friends about her struggles and her death, who in Whitney's life was helping her, who was hurting her, who was enabling, and what is next for her heartbroken teenage daughter. First, here is the latest. A private jet, a golden hearse, and a New Jersey homecoming for a diva the world will never forget. Whitney Houston's funeral is set for Saturday, and tonight new details are emerging about her death.
He said when he worked for her, they didn't allow her to take baths.
I said, but I cannot protect you from yourselves.
A close friend she called Aunt Mary found Whitney's body just minutes after people saw the singer alive. The grim discovery, a reminder of the perils of Hollywood.
I'm scared of show business. I'm scared of drugs. We have to be afraid.
A tragic loss, not just of an amazing talent, but a mother, a daughter, and a friend. Where did Whitney's troubles begin, and how might this devastating end have been avoided?
I hate to say that she had started before she had met Bobby Brown.
And of course she did. I need to make something clear, because people are rushing to judgment on Bobby Brown, saying he is to blame for Whitney's death, really. I'm telling you, yeah, I'm certain he didn't help things any, but addicts tend to seek out other addicts. They tend to find people that support their way of thinking, and they become co-addicts together. And I have no doubt that's what happened with Bobby Brown. And so to blame him is a huge mistake. He didn't help, I'll grant you that. But to make him responsible for this outcome, giant mistake. With me now is recording artist and Whitney's friend, Nikki Gilbert. Nikki was also with Whitney on Thursday night, 2 days before she died. And host of HLN's Jane Velez Mitchell. Jane, thank you for being here. It's really a pleasure having you in the studio with me. And we also have public relations expert and Whitney's longtime friend, Marvette Brito. Marvette, can you tell us about Whitney's relationship with Bobby?
I wasn't intimately involved in Whitney's relationship with Bobby. My sister's good friends with Whitney, has been for over 20 years. But what I can tell you is that no one person can do more for someone than they want to do for themselves. And I think they had a very loving relationship, they were similar in many ways. I think from the beginning when Bobby and Whitney got together, people thought that they were so vastly different. That's simply because people knew the public Whitney. They didn't know the private Whitney. So I think for anyone to pass judgment on what they think Bobby, who they think Bobby was, who they think Whitney was, you really had to be inside the intimacy of their relationship to really know the level of love and passion that really existed between them, and I believe still existed to this day.
Now, I've got a couple more updates. Thank you, Marvette. Her funeral will be held at a church, in her childhood church in New Jersey. I think it's the same one where she had sung as a teenager. This will be a private ceremony. Bobby Brown says that their daughter is there now in that vicinity with her family. Jane, I know you share with me the frustration of trying to help people understand the prescription pill epidemic and the fact that just because doctors are prescribing something doesn't mean it's okay for an addict. How do we help people understand this?
There's so much misinformation about this, and I speak as a recovering alcoholic with 16 years. Hopefully in April I'll have 17 years, but I get frustrated when I hear people saying she's a former addict. Oh, she was off hard drugs. She was only drinking. She was okay. And it's just the wrong information. You can't be a former addict. All we have is today. People who have 20 years of sobriety, 30 years of sobriety go out if they don't work their program.
Let me people understand this. That it is a part of the brain. I don't want to bore my eyes with this. I'm going to say this one time, and Jane, you maybe can help me get it across to people, which is that there's a part of your brain below consciousness, below your reasoning center, below your feeling center, deeper in the sort of drive system, in the center of the brain. It's an area called the medial forebrain bundle that sets up drives like survival and hunger and those kinds of things. That drive becomes distorted in addiction, so all of these higher mechanisms, our wonderful reasoning and our will and our volition and our love of our families, all these things now serve a distorted drive, which is permanently there. It's much more active when you're using, and then all the distortions occur, and it settles down a little bit when you maintain your sobriety every day.
Absolutely. And just to put it in people terms, it's an uncontrollable craving that takes over, and it can be triggered by one drop.
But I think what people misunderstand is it doesn't have to be an awareness of craving. It can be just, here's what my drug addicts always do. It's like, yeah, I haven't used cocaine in a long time, but God, I'd sure love to see Jill. Or I'd love to see Jane. I'd love to see Jane. Well, who's Jane? Well, Jane's somebody I used to do drugs with, and we used to buy from. But I just got to see Jane, and I'll be the doctor saying, no, don't see Jane. Don't go see Jane.
Yes.
Because that's your brain going, I want to do drugs. You just don't know that.
People, places, and things.
Cunning.
That's why.
Cunning.
Yes, it's cunning, baffling, powerful. And people, places, and things trigger it. That's why when you're in early recovery, don't go to a bar. I don't hang out at bars. If I have to
But
go
you're
out
not even really in recovery. You're 16 years sober, and you know you can't do that. We have poor Whitney, who had been not even sober. She'd been treated just last May, Nikki.
My question is, how long has this been going on? Now, all of a sudden, like I said before, everyone's all, oh, Whitney, what was she drinking, and what was she doing, and where was she? Who was the person in her profession who said, Whitney, 15 years ago, or when that incident happened when she was stopped at the airport, where was this conversation then? That's what I want to know. Why didn't we start evaluating and wondering who the doctors were and who was giving her prescriptions here and there? Where did that happen?
She went to rehab at least 3 times, most recently less than a year ago.
It doesn't matter. She has to keep going to rehab. But what I'm saying is that if there is a problem somewhere, and that problem didn't start on Thursday night, unfortunately, it led to that.
Nikki, I want to tell you, I'm going to give you a symptom of the problem right now. Okay. And I hope you're going to be able to pull up this full screen that I've got. This is a friend of Whitney talking about her drug use, saying, I'll put this up here as a full screen. I want to read this right off the screen. That she had been, quote, clean from hard drugs for 3 years and had not used cocaine or marijuana, therefore she was fine. You understand? So that's what she was surrounded by, Nikki. I'm just reading a symptom of what led to her death.
She was surrounded by quite a few people, and not just friends, record executives, doctors. You can't blame her mother for her condition. You can't blame her child. You can't blame Bobby Brown for her condition. At the end of the day, the stresses. Let's talk about what got her there. Let's talk about that. Can we discuss that? We're talking about the drugs. We're talking about the alcohol. Let's talk about what got her to the point where she felt like she needed that to cope.
Do you want to know what often it is some kind of childhood trauma? So we really haven't discussed that at all on this show or any show. I don't know. I've never heard about her dad or what he was like, or, who knows. So there may be a big...
Her dad was an absolutely amazing guy. And talking about her dad, let's go there. She lost her father, who she was very, very close to.
Maybe that was the trauma.
Yeah, but I have to say this. Addicts, and I'm speaking as a recovering alcoholic, we drink when we're happy, we drink when we're sad. We use when we're going to celebrate, we use when we're feeling depressed. Any excuse. It's sunny out, we drink to celebrate. It's raining, we drink because we're not happy with the rain. It doesn't matter, and it can be multi-determined.
You should help to alleviate the pressure and the influence that takes a person to that point. That would be the job of the people who say, hey, get on a plane, come. Shaka Khan made this point that Whitney Houston was here for a full week longer, than she would have recommended her be, partying and having a good time. Who was the person that was there that said, Whitney, you've been sober for 3 years. Let's make sure X, Y, and Z doesn't happen. I've heard the reference, to Kelly Price and myself and all of her friends who were at the party. I personally did not toast champagne with her, but you said yourself, Dr. Drew, it's a disease.
Let me ask something. Why didn't you pull her aside and say, honey, let's get you back into treatment, or let's get you to a meeting, or let's call your sponsor?
I personally, honestly, don't feel that it is my place in the middle of an event to pull Whitney Houston to the side in the presence of her child.
Not only that,
and say,
fair enough. Why not
I've had personal experience when I think, let's say, a sober buddy has slipped, and they get extremely angry at you, rageful. They deny it, and they basically blame you for messing with them.
And cut you off.
And
then at that point, they don't want to be around you anymore.
But cutting off is what you need to be willing to risk.
But you don't.
You need to be willing to risk that to save that person's life. And here's what you do. And here's what I do is I know you're gonna evoke righteous indignation. And here's what you do. You laugh. You go, dude, come on. Whitney, I'm just trying. I care about you because I love you. I'm trying to help you.
Why didn't one of those record executives say the exact same thing that you're asking the friends to say? If you want to go out there and sing on this show, if you want to go be a part of this, if you want your contract to remain intact, then you cannot do this. Bottom line.
That's what I say now. I say here.
And how about
Somebody else.
one step further, drug testing, just like they do for athletes?
Well, but but they're independent contractors. They're not employees. So we got to take a break. What is